Let's start it with our first news. Carlos Ulberg has officially put the light heavyweight division on notice. In a recent interview, the surging contender hinted that the UFC might be preparing an interim title fight between himself and Magomed Ankalaev, a matchup that could define the next chapter at 205 pounds. This development comes as reigning champion Alex Pereira continues to recover from a significant injury sustained in his last fight. Following his massive redemption victory over Ankalaev, Pereira revealed that he had actually broken his foot during the bout, an injury later confirmed by X-rays and MRI scans. The Brazilian champion admitted that the recovery process would take considerable time, meaning fans shouldn't expect to see him inside the octagon anytime soon. Reports now suggest that Pereira's next appearance could be as far out as June 2026, at the highly anticipated UFC White House card. And when he does return, it might not be at light heavyweight but rather in a blockbuster heavyweight clash against Jon Jones. That potential move has split the MMA community. Many fans believe Pereira should remain at 205 pounds to defend his title at least once more, possibly against Ulberg, who has been on an incredible run. The New Zealand standout has quietly built one of the most impressive winning streaks in the division, displaying elite striking, composure, and finishing ability. A showdown between him and Pereira would undoubtedly be a thrilling fight, one that could easily headline a Las Vegas pay-per-view. However, as things stand, Pereira's long recovery and growing interest in chasing heavyweight gold suggests that his light heavyweight reign might already be coming to an end. That opens the door for a potential interim title fight, and according to Ulberg, the UFC is already exploring that route. Speaking about the situation, Ulberg shared his excitement at the possibility. "It would definitely be a massive fight for both of us. For me, it's an incredible opportunity to fight for a title, and if it's against someone like Ankalaev, that's even better. Someone's getting hurt in that fight guaranteed. It's the matchup fans want to see." Ulberg went on to explain that if Pereira chooses to stay and defend his belt, he'd love to face him, ideally in Las Vegas, a fight that could introduce him to a larger American audience. But if the Brazilian vacates and moves up to heavyweight, Ulberg says he's ready to step up and fight Ankalaev for the interim championship. Such a bout would make perfect sense from a competitive standpoint. Ankalaev remains one of the most technically sound fighters in the division, while Ulberg has the momentum and fan appeal. An interim belt would not only keep the division active during Pereira's absence but could also set up a massive unification bout down the road. If the UFC proceeds with Ulberg versus Ankalaev, it would mark a major turning point for the light heavyweight division, signaling the possible end of Pereira's reign and the beginning of a new era. Whether Pereira returns to reclaim his throne or embarks on a historic run at heavyweight, one thing is certain: the light heavyweight landscape is about to change in a big way. Before we jump into the next story, we have a small favor to ask. If you're enjoying the content, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon. It really helps us out and ensures you'll never miss an update. Move on to another news. Charles Oliveira is officially back, and back in spectacular fashion. The former UFC Lightweight Champion delivered a statement performance, finishing Mateusz Gamrot in dominant fashion and reigniting his quest for another shot at gold. But it wasn't just the finish that caught the world's attention, it was what came after. Oliveira immediately called out Max Holloway, setting up a potential showdown that has fans buzzing across the MMA world. Moments after the win, Holloway wasted no time responding. The Hawaiian fan favorite accepted the challenge and fired back, claiming that Oliveira has made too many excuses about their first meeting years ago. "This time," Holloway said, "there won't be any debate about who's better." That confident response instantly added fuel to what could become one of the most exciting matchups in recent UFC memory, a clash between two all-action fighters with championship pedigrees and something to prove. At the post-fight press conference, Oliveira opened up emotionally about the struggles he faced following his brutal knockout loss to Ilia Topuria. The Brazilian star admitted that after that devastating defeat, he seriously considered retirement. "After the Topuria fight, I sat alone in my room with my wife and son, questioning everything," Oliveira said. "It was one of the hardest moments of my career. My child looked at me and said, 'Dad, you're our champion.' That changed everything. My family reminded me who I am, a fighter, a champion, and someone who never gives up." That motivation reignited Oliveira's fire, and it showed inside the octagon. Breaking down his win over Gamrot, Dubronx explained the meticulous strategy that led to the finish. "My team and I discussed many strategies, but the plan was clear: smother him early, control the pace, and make him uncomfortable. I wanted to stay aggressive but composed, to defend the takedowns and use my full MMA game: striking, movement, and jiu-jitsu. My DNA is jiu-jitsu, and when the opportunity appears, I'll take it. But I've learned to be patient and precise. Every attack has to be meaningful." That calm and measured approach paid off as Oliveira dismantled Gamrot with a mix of technical striking and relentless pressure before securing the finish. The performance was a reminder of why Oliveira remains one of the most dangerous finishers in UFC history. Now, with his confidence restored, Oliveira is already looking ahead. Whether it's Holloway or another top contender, the Brazilian is ready for the next big challenge anytime, anywhere. "If someone says they don't want to fight me in Brazil, that's fine. I'll go wherever they want," Oliveira said. Rio, New York, it doesn't matter. The UFC decides the location and date. I'll be ready in March or whenever they call. If the fans want it, I want it too. Let's make history. The potential BMF fight between Charles Oliveira and Max Holloway could become a turning point for the division. Both fighters have previously fallen to the reigning champion, Ilia Topuria, but their recent resurgence has brought them right back into the spotlight. Holloway is coming off a huge victory over Dustin Poirier, while Oliveira just stopped Mateusz Gamrot in emphatic fashion. If either man wins their next fight convincingly, they could find themselves back in the title picture, especially if Topuria decides to move up in weight. For now, Oliveira's message is clear: he's far from done. From the brink of retirement to one of the most inspiring comebacks of the year, Bronx has proven once again that champions are defined not by their losses, but by how they rise after them. Move on to another news. Tensions briefly flared outside a training facility in the UAE when Islam Makhachev, the former UFC Lightweight Champion, was unexpectedly swarmed by a large group of fans after finishing a workout session. Footage circulating on Russian media showed Makhachev being aggressively approached as he exited the gym, leading to a tense moment that required his bodyguard's quick intervention. In the video, Makhachev can be seen gesturing for the crowd to back off while maintaining his composure, though it's clear the situation was becoming heated. According to local reports, several fans got too close, trying to take selfies and exchange words with the Dagestani star before security stepped in to restore order. For Makhachev, this isn't an isolated incident. His loyal and passionate fan base, particularly in Dagestan and the Middle East, often gathers in massive numbers to see him in public, a sign of his growing popularity but also a challenge to manage in high-traffic areas. Still, Islam remains focused on the task at hand, preparing for his highly anticipated welterweight debut against reigning champion Jack Della Maddalena at UFC 309 on November 15 in Madison Square Garden. Despite the outside distractions, Makhachev appears to be in high spirits and fully locked in for fight night. Recently, he shared clips on social media showing a lighter side of his training camp, including a moment where he unboxed a selection of chocolates sent by fans, joking, "Just one thing I ask of you, bring me chocolate." Those close to him have noted that he looks noticeably bigger, stronger, and more muscular since moving up to 170 pounds, a transformation that suggests he's thriving in his new division. Analysts believe this new version of Makhachev could be even more dangerous. The former lightweight king's blend of dominant wrestling, grappling control, and improved striking already made him one of the most complete fighters in the sport. Now, with added size and strength, he could pose an even greater threat to the welterweight elite. Meanwhile, Jack Della Maddalena, JDM, remains laser-focused on defending his title and ending what he calls the Dagestani dominance. In a recent interview, the Australian champion exuded confidence, dismissing any notion of fear ahead of the biggest fight of his career. "Preparation's been much the same, a hard, challenging 5-round title fight," Della Maddalena said. "We've worked on a solid game plan, and I'm going to put it all together on November 15th. Finishing this one, that's the goal. A finish would be the dream. I can see it happening and blowing the roof off Madison Square Garden." Della Maddalena went on to compare Makhachev to past opponents, acknowledging the Russian's elite grappling but also pointing out vulnerabilities. "His grappling's a bit better than Belal's," JDM explained, "but he gets hit a lot more. That gives me confidence that I'll be able to tag him a few times. He's a different challenge, more dangerous in some areas, but still human." The champion also weighed in on the future of the division, naming Shavkat Rakhmonov, Sean Brady, and even Kamaru Usman as potential contenders for his next title defense, depending, of course, on how things unfold at UFC 309. As the event approaches, anticipation is sky-high. Makhachev's attempt to capture a second divisional title and join the elite ranks of two-division UFC champions could redefine his legacy. But before any of that happens, he'll need to stay focused amid distractions, including tense encounters like the one outside his gym. With the build-up intensifying, the MMA world now waits to see whether Islam Makhachev's power truly carries to 170 pounds, or if Jack Della Maddalena can defend his throne and deliver on his promise to end the Dagestani dominance once and for all. Move on to another news. The MMA community has been buzzing with one question for months: what makes Ilia Topuria so special? His lightning-fast reflexes, devastating power, and ice-cold composure inside the cage have left fans and analysts in awe. But now, the mystery behind his dominance may finally be solved. In a stunning revelation, Topuria's physiotherapy and performance coach, Josep Caballero, gave an inside look into the champion's revolutionary approach to training. According to Caballero, Topuria isn't just another gifted athlete, he's a pioneer in integrating elite-level sports science into MMA, bringing a level of precision and sophistication rarely seen in the sport. Caballero explained that Topuria's entire training system is modeled after the advanced performance protocols used in top-tier European football clubs. These methods focus on hard data, measurable progress, and evidence-based results. Ilia takes science seriously, Caballero said. Everything from his recovery cycles to his reaction training is built around data. No other fighter in MMA is applying sports science at this depth. But what truly separates Ilia from the rest of the field isn't just his physical preparation, it's his mind. designed. Caballero revealed that in over a decade of testing elite athletes, including professional footballers and Olympic-level competitors, Ilia Topuria recorded the highest cognitive and reaction time metrics he has ever seen. His brain processes information faster than anyone I've ever worked with, Caballero explained. His ability to react under pressure, read chaos, and make split-second decisions is off the charts. It's what allows him to stay so composed while everyone else is losing control. This remarkable cognitive ability, Caballero said, is what truly makes El Matador elite. Ilia doesn't just fight, he analyzes in real time, he continued. He adapts faster than anyone I've seen. His learning curve is so steep that our team has to constantly evolve our methods just to keep up with him. Topuria's move up to lightweight was also handled with surgical precision. Every ounce of added muscle, every increase in power, and every speed metric was carefully tracked. Caballero confirmed that Ilia gained knockout power without losing speed, something extremely rare in combat sports. He now hits harder, moves faster, and performs at 100% efficiency, Caballero said. Every phase of his preparation, from mass gain to hydration recovery, was designed with exact data points. One of the most fascinating aspects of Topuria's camp is their neuromuscular activation system, a groundbreaking recovery method they employ from the weight cut all the way to fight day. This includes visual stimulation, muscle tuning technology, and brain-body synchronization protocols designed to keep his nervous system firing perfectly. We treat his brain and body like a Formula One engine, Caballero noted. Everything must be perfectly tuned before the fight. And perhaps the most astonishing fact of all, Ilia Topuria has never suffered a major injury throughout his professional career. Caballero insists this is no coincidence. That's not luck, he said. It's by design. We treat his body with the same preventative detail we would use for someone recovering from injuries. That's why he stays sharp, durable, and consistent. Ilia Topuria's dominance, it turns out, isn't just about talent or aggression, it's about innovation. By merging cutting-edge sports science with old-school fighter grit, El Matador is changing the blueprint for what it means to be an elite mixed martial artist. And as the rest of the division tries to catch up, one thing is becoming increasingly clear: Ilia Topuria isn't just fighting the competition, he's evolving beyond it. Move on to another news. Alex Pereira admitted afterward that he actually wished the fight with Magomed Ankalaev had gone on a little longer, not because he needed more time to land power shots, but because he wanted to finish the bit of showmanship he had promised. Speaking to media after the stoppage, Pereira described the sequence that ended the fight and explained why, of all things, he regretted not being able to slap him in the face. Pereira said he'd landed a clean punch just before the decisive elbows that ultimately forced the referee to step in. After that initial punch, he followed with elbows as Ankalaev went to the mat and tried to change levels. When I landed the first elbow I saw blood, Pereira recalled. I kept hitting, then the ref stopped it. It felt great landing those elbows, but I wish it could have gone a little longer. I promised to slap his face and I didn't get to do that. On the surface the comment is cheeky, a blend of bravado and sportsmanship theater common in combat sports, but it also reveals something about Pereira's mindset entering the fight. He wanted to both impose his will and control the narrative, dominate decisively, add a memorable flourish, and leave no room for debate about who won. That he focused on a small, almost theatrical gesture after a hard-fought finish speaks to how much the psychological and performative sides of MMA matter to elite fighters. For Pereira, a slap would have been a symbolic punctuation mark, a way to puncture his opponent's pride while underscoring the completeness of the victory. There's also a practical side to his remark. Referees stop fights to protect athletes from unnecessary harm, and Pereira acknowledges that the stoppage was appropriate. He saw the blood, kept pressing, and the ref made the call. Any talk of wanting the fight to continue should not be read as criticism of the official, rather, it's a fighter's candid frustration at missing the exact script he'd imagined for the moment. In other words, he's not questioning the stoppage, he's lamenting the missed theatrical ending. Reactions to the comment were predictable. Some fans will laugh and treat it as classic fighter banter, others might call it disrespectful. In MMA, gestures like slaps, taunts, and post-fight theatrics sit in a gray area. They can build heat and sell future fights, but they can also inflame rivalries and draw criticism. Whether Pereira's remark fuels a rematch narrative or simply becomes another colorful quote in the aftermath of the fight depends on how both fighters and promoters choose to frame it. What's clear is that Pereira wanted to make a statement physically and symbolically. He landed clean, finished convincingly, and left the octagon with the result indisputable. The slapline is, at its heart, a small emblem of a bigger point. He meant to dominate, to humiliate a little, and to leave fans with an unforgettable moment. Even without the theatrical finale, the message got across loud and clear.